Hello and welcome to SGN Tech Forum. So today we are starting with our IoT Fun with IoT playlist. And before we start talking about protocol and write some fun program, I would like to present you guys with the essentials or the prerequisite, right? Because IoT is nothing without your sensors, relay, and actuator, and etc. So if you're not familiar with those small electronic components, don't worry about that. I'll help you get started so that you can order your kit, or you may order the essentials and then follow along with me while we start our IoT journey. All right, so right now what you can see in my hand, this is readily available on Amazon or wherever you are. It's electronics fun kit. What it is, it has like a nice combination of various electronics parts which will come handy in your IoT project. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we have, what all we have inside. Okay, so here as you can see, this is the list of things what we have. Okay, so we have various LEDs. All right, so if you are doing any project which is sensing something and giving you a visual indication by turning on and off of the of lights, that's where we are going to use LEDs. And then we have a lot of resistors, right? So it's not a best practice to connect your LEDs directly with 3.3 volt or 5 volt power. So basically you need to pass it via resistor, and I'll talk about that when we do a fun experiment. All right, so we have tons of resistors inside with various capacity resistance. That means 10 ohm, 20 ohm, and I'll show you. Then we have one potentiometer. Potentiometer here is basically used for any uh, directions, pressures. All right, and then we have male to female uh, plugs which we will use to connect our breadboard to Raspberry Pi GPIO. All right, we have some female to female wires also, which will be used if you are using some analog sensors or sense hat, Raspberry Pi sense hat. All right, then we have buzzer. um so it can give you like a beep. You can program it, so whenever the it detects something high or low logic, it can beep. And then you can set the timing, like it can beep really fast, it can beep slow, and all those things. Funny thing you can do like a sound representation, just like LED, it's give you sound. Okay, and then we have some photoresistors. So these are LDRs. That mean as the light it's LDR, that means light dependent resistor. So um, I'll show you a demo how it functions, but think of it, it's a resistor uh, which for which resistance changes as it get exposed to the light. So when it is completely dark, that means it is at the very high resistance, and if it has sufficient sunlight, the resistance level go down. Okay, and then we have some transistors. And here we don't have any relay, so you may have to, if you want to connect any AC load, you may have to buy a relay. We have a button, so you can do push and pull, kind of like resistors. You can tap and print something, and all those things, fun thing you can do. Let me quickly show you what we have. So the very basic thing or very important thing is the breadboard. Okay, so breadboard, this is a small breadboard where you are going to connect or set up your circuitry. Okay, so all my LEDs or resistors or capacitors, all the circuitry will come here. One end will come here, and then the another end is obviously is going to go to our Raspberry Pi GPIO pins. And if you are not familiar with GPIO, I'll put the description link in the video, so you can watch what are the GPIO pins. These are like 40 pins, and all pins have different functions. So only 24 pins can be used as output to your breadboard. Rest of the 14 pins are like some are powered 3.3 volt, 5 volt, and ground and etc. Right. So when we write the program, we will selectively pick up the GPIO pins to power up our circuitry. Or if we have to connect the ground, we'll use the selective pins to ground. So this is very important. This is our GPIO pin. All right. Here also we have a camera slot, and I'm gonna show you how a camera look like, Raspberry Pi camera look like in the end. Okay. So let me put the Raspberry Pi aside and continue with our circuits. So you have seen the breadboard. And let me show you the couple of cables. Okay, a lot of cables, same female to female, both end, uh, male to male, both end look like this. And then for GPIO, probably you will be using this type of cable pretty much. So one end will go to breadboard and the another end will go to GPIO pins. All right. So these are the cables. LEDs, so many LEDs. All right. So let me take one, take out one. And this is, as you can see, this is a red color LED. And as you can see, the legs are uneven because LED is classified as anode and cathode. All right. So anode is for positive voltage. That means if you want to supply any voltage, you need to power it up with this long leg. Okay. So you have to connect this long leg to the power, but do not try to connect directly with power. Best practice is to interface or intermediate it with the resistor and then connect it to GPIO power pin. The second, which is the shorter leg, it is called cathode and it is always grounded. Okay. All right. Let me set up the camera correct. So you have seen the LEDs. Then let me show you some resistors, as we are talking resistors very often. Okay. So these are resistors, and how you will know what type of resistor to use or what is the ohms value, resistance value, it's marked here 330 ohms. Most of our experiment we are going to use 330 ohms resistors. All right. What else we have here? We have some diode. Okay, then diode will you will need diode when you are connecting some DC loads, and in between there is a small LDR inside that. Well, you will get familiar with LDR when we do a live experiment. Okay, these are few buttons. Okay, so you can use them in your circuitry, and when you press the button something happen, when you release the button something happen. All those things you can do using buttons. So this is how it looks like. You can see it has 4 legs. If it's not very clearly visible, pardon me. uh, and I'll show you how to set it up. Okay, and this is the button you can press. So this is the button here. As you can see, you can press it and it will release the flow, release the circuitry, or maybe discontinue the electric supply. And when you, so it depends what kind of like pull up or pull down resistor you are using, but yeah, this is basically to continue or discontinue our electric flow. Okay, these are all capacitors for AC loads, some power supply, but we are not using this that much. Okay, because I already have like a 5 volt power supply for my Raspberry Pi. Okay, I would like to show you the buzzer, and this is a very cool one. I like it actually. So this is a buzzer. You just place it in on your breadboard. It has like a positive and negative terminal. Connect the positive terminal to a GPIO pin, negative to ground, and you can write a program that, okay, buzz every minute, okay, or every hour give me a buzz, so that I know that, okay, it can work like a stopwatch or something, right, which can give you a sound like alarm. Okay, There are a few other things available here which we are not going to use that much, but it's good to know. Okay, and that. This is again electrolytic capacitor, which we will be using when we do a DC load connection. Okay, so you have seen resistors, you have seen LED, you have now know what is the breadboard, what are the buzzer and different type of wires. All right, so I'm going to put this away, and what I'll show you extra is the Pi camera. Okay, so if you want to do some project where you want to monitor something and continuous monitoring, you can very well use a Pi camera. You can see this is a very small Pi camera which can interface directly with my Raspberry Pi by this other end, you can see, and then we can program our camera to capture like however we want, like capture videos or maybe take screenshots. All those things you can do using the camera. There are tons of other interesting gear available in market, so you can buy whatever you like. I just want to play. Finally, I just want to tell you one important difference between Raspberry Pi and one of the other cheaper version available in market, Arduino. Right. So many people they think like, what I should buy, whether I should buy a Raspberry Pi or can I buy a cheaper version of Arduino, or why Arduino at all, right? So the major difference is all my in on my Raspberry Pi, I can only connect the digital sensors. So it has only digital input pins. Okay. However, if you have some sensors which are analogous in nature or give you the analog input, then either you need a ADC converter for your Pi, or you can buy Arduino, which is a low power device, but it has native analog input support. And as you can see, this is the specification. This is original Arduino. Chip is Atmega 328P, small memory, 32 KB, and interface. These are like various interface. We will discuss about them later. I2C and SPI UART, and 7 to 12 voltage, 5 voltage, and pin out. Pin out is important. Focus on pin out. You can see we have 6 analogous pin inbuilt. Okay, so we will do some unboxing of Arduino in some other video, because this video I just wanted you to make familiar with various circuitry or sensors which we are going to connect to our Raspberry Pis. And I'll also show you some humidity and temperature sensors which are pretty inexpensive to get. And I'll highly advocate you buy one for yourself with this kind of gear, so a couple of sensors, so that you can follow along in this fun IoT journey. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video.